Tonight we travel back to the streets of Rome. Not to the Rome of sunlight and white marble, where senators debate in the Curia and legions march under golden eagles. We travel to the Rome of the shadows, to the Rome that exists only when the sun has released its grip on the 7 hills. The heat of the day is lifting, rising off the travertine stones like a phantom. In the distance, the great monuments of the Forum are turning into silhouettes against a darkening violet sky. The noise of the day, the politicians, the lawyers, the bankers, is fading. But while the wealthy retire to their villas on the Palatine, a different army is waking up. They do not carry swords to conquer nations. They carry axes to conquer fire. They are the Vigiles, the Watchers, the nocturnal guardians of a city built of timber and ambition. Tonight we will walk beside one of them. We will follow him from the moment the first oil lamp is lit, through the deepest, coldest hours of the night, until the sun returns to the east. It is a long journey, a journey measured out in slow, deliberate steps, over cobblestones slick with the refuse of the day. We will listen to the city breathe while it sleeps. We will smell the wood smoke, the damp straw, and the fear that hangs in the narrow alleys. So settle in. Let the room around you grow dim. Let the modern world fade away. Tonight, we stand the watch. To understand the night, we must first understand the fear that lives within it. We must understand the fragility of this empire. Rome is a labyrinth of nearly 1 million souls. It is a sprawling, chaotic organism, crammed into tall, rickety apartment blocks called insulae. These buildings lean over the narrow streets, their wooden balconies almost touching across the alleyways, blocking out the stars. Inside these hives, thousands of olive oil lamps flicker near linen curtains. Charcoal braziers burn on dry wooden floors to cook the evening meal. A single spark, a tipped lamp, a moment of carelessness, and a whole district vanishes. For centuries, Rome burned regularly. It was a cycle of destruction that seemed inevitable. But in the year 6 AD, the Emperor Augustus created a solution. He formed the cohortes vigilum, 7 cohorts of men, recruited not from the elite citizenry, but from the freedmen, former slaves who had earned their liberty. This is a crucial detail. The men we walk with tonight are men who know the value of earning their place. They are men who have known chains and now serve the city to protect its freedom and their own. Tonight we join a member of the 2nd cohort. His station, the excubatorium, sits on the Esquiline Hill. He is responsible for the sprawling, dangerous puzzle of the city's eastern districts. He is part firefighter, part policeman, and part night watchman. He is not a hero in the poetic sense. You will find no statues of him in the Forum. He does not seek glory. He seeks order. His job is a brutal, physical battle against entropy, against the chaos that naturally rises when the sun goes down. The philosophy of the watch is simple. Presence. To be seen is to prevent crime. To smell the smoke early is to prevent the inferno. It is a duty of senses. The eyes must pierce the gloom. The ears must separate the cry of a beggar from the cry of a victim. The nose must distinguish the smell of a roasting pig from the smell of burning pine resin. As we prepare to step out, the mood in the station is quiet. There is no shouting, just the low murmur of men waking up, the shuffle of leather sandals on stone, and the ritual of preparation. The day is dead. The night has begun. Let us look closely at the tools of this trade. Our vigil stands by a wooden bench, the grain worn smooth by generations of hands. He begins to dress. The ritual is slow, methodical. Every strap and buckle must be perfect, for he will not rest for 12 hours. First, the tunic. It is simple wool, undyed, or perhaps a dull reddish brown. It is cut short, above the knees, for movement. The fabric is coarse. It scratches the skin, a constant reminder of his station. Over this he places the sagum, the military cloak. This cloak is his most vital possession. It is his house, his blanket, and his shield against the biting wind coming off the Tiber. It is thick, heavy wool, holding the scent of lanolin and the ingrained wood smoke from previous nights. He pins it at the shoulder with a bronze fibula. The metal pin slides through the fabric with a soft, yielding sound. On his feet he ties the caligae. These are not the light sandals of a civilian. These are heavy marching boots with thick leather soles. Studded with iron hobnails, they are designed to grip the slick, refuse-strewn stones of the Roman street. When he walks, these nails will strike the pavement, creating a rhythmic clack, clack, clack. It is the sound of authority in the dark. Now the belt, the Baltius. He wraps the wide leather around his waist. It creaks as he tightens it, settling the weight on his hips. From this belt hangs his personal arsenal. There is no sword. The Vigiles are not soldiers of war. They are soldiers of peace. Instead, he carries a delabra. It is a tool of beautiful, brutal utility. On one side, a heavy axe blade for smashing through locked doors or cutting through burning beams. On the other, a curved pick for prying apart roof tiles and dragging burning debris away from a wall. The iron head is cold to the touch, pitted with the marks of the blacksmith's hammer. It is heavy. It pulls his belt down on the right side. Next to it, he hangs a coil of rope and a small leather bucket, collapsed flat against his hip. This is the hammer. It is coated in pitch, tar, to make it watertight. It smells sharp and acrid. In the corner of the room, the heavier equipment waits. We see the siphons, large double-action water pumps. They are masterpieces of Roman engineering, bronze pistons fitted into wood, capable of shooting a stream of water high into the air. But they are heavy. They require a team to move and a reservoir to feed them. Tonight, our vigil hopes they will not be needed. He picks up his lantern. It is bronze, with thin sheets of translucent horn protecting the flame from the wind. He opens the small door. He takes a splinter of wood from the station fire, carries the ember to the lamp, and touches it to the oil-soaked wick. The flame catches. It creates a small, warm sphere of amber light. This will be his world for the next 12 hours. Anything outside this circle is the unknown. The cohort assembles in the courtyard. The tribune speaks briefly. His voice is low, carrying over the wind. He warns of a dry breeze coming from the north. Fire weather. He mentions a series of petty thefts near the market of Livia. He reminds them that the emperor is in the city and that order is paramount. They file out of the gate. The transition is immediate. Inside, there was warmth, light, and structure. Outside, the city is a living thing that is changing its skin. It is the first watch of the night. The streets are not yet empty. In fact, they are chaotic. You see, in Rome, heavy transport wagons are banned from the streets during the daylight hours to prevent gridlock. So, as the sun vanishes, the great commercial arteries begin to clog with traffic. Listen to the soundscape change. The shouting of merchants closing their stalls fades, replaced by the deep, earth-shaking rumble of iron-rimmed wheels on basalt blocks. Oxen snort and stamp. Drivers curse in a dozen languages: Greek, Aramaic, Gaulish, Latin. The air is thick with dust kicked up by hooves. Our vigil and his squad move against this tide. They stick to the edges of the street, their lanterns swaying. They are heading towards the Subura. The Subura. Even the name carries a weight. It is the belly of Rome. It is a valley between the hills, a place of commerce, vice, and crushing poverty. As they descend into it, the air grows heavier. The temperature seems to rise, trapped by the density of the buildings. The smells here are aggressive. You smell the garum, fermented fish sauce, spilled near a tavern door. You smell the sharp tang of urine from the public latrines. You smell unwashed bodies, wet dogs, and the ever-present underlying scent of old, dry timber. The buildings here tower 6, sometimes 7 stories high. They are shadowy cliffs. From the upper windows, light spills out in jagged patches. You can hear the intimate sounds of 1,000 lives stacked on top of one another. A mother singing to a child. A couple arguing over money. The distinct rattle of dice in a cup. Our vigil walks with his eyes cast upward, He's not looking at the people. He is looking at the roof lines. He is looking for the orange glow that shouldn't be there. He's watching the smoke. Is it drifting lazily from a chimney? Or is it billowing, thick and black? He stops. He sniffs the air. Just cooking fires. He adjusts the strap of his helmet, shifts the weight of his axe, and moves on. Hours pass. The traffic of the wagons is thinned out. We have entered the second watch. The city is settling into a deeper groove. The casual strollers have gone home. The people remaining on the streets now have a purpose, and usually it is not a noble one. The patrol turns down a narrow alleyway, barely wide enough for two men to walk abreast. The darkness here is absolute, broken only by their lanterns. The light catches the damp walls, revealing graffiti scratched into the plaster, names of gladiators, insults, political slogans, lovers' promises, small ghosts of the day's thoughts left on the walls. Suddenly, a sound, the shattering of pottery. The squad stops. The centurion raises a hand. They listen. There is a scuffle ahead, voices raised in anger. The Vigiles act. They do not run blindly. They move with a synchronized, heavy trot. The sound of their boots changes. It becomes a rhythmic drumbeat of authority. They round the corner. Two men are wrestling in the mud, a torn sack of grain between them. A knife glints in the lantern light. Halt, the centurion barks. His voice is not a scream, it is a command, practiced and projected from the diaphragm. The effect is immediate. The fight freezes. The light of the Vigiles lanterns washes over the men. They see the bronze helmets, the badges of the cohort, the axes at the belts. The fight drains out of them. In Rome you might fight a neighbor, but you do not fight the emperor's watch. The knife is dropped. It hits the stones with a metallic. The Vigiles do not perform a complex investigation. That is for the courts tomorrow. Tonight, the goal is peace. The men are separated. Names are taken. A warning is given. A warning that carries the threat of the praefectus vigilum, the judge who can sentence a man to the mines for disrupting the peace. The men disperse, vanishing into the shadows like rats. The sack of grain is left against a wall. The patrol resumes. This is the reality of the policing duty. It is rarely a grand battle. It is a series of interruptions. It is the act of reminding the city that it is being watched. It is a psychological weight pressing down on the disorder. As they walk away, the adrenaline fades, replaced by the returning cold. The vigil wraps his cloak tighter. The dampness of the Tiber River is creeping into the air, a mist that chills the bones. He thinks of the warm straw of his bed. He pushes the thought away. The night is only half over. We are now in the third watch, the dead of night. This is the most dangerous time. Residents are asleep. If a lamp tips over now, no one will see it until the smoke is thick enough to choke them. Our vigil is passing a bakery. The ovens are usually kept warm all night, ready for the morning bread. He stops. He smells it. Not the smell of baking dough, the smell of pine resin, scorching. He looks up. Smoke is curling from under the eaves of the second floor, just above the bakery. It is thin, whispering smoke, but it is steady. "Fire!" he shouts. "Omnes ad incendium!" The routine shatters. The squad springs into a rehearsed chaos. One man blows a whistle, a sharp, piercing sound that cuts through the silence. Another runs back to the nearest intersection to signal the bucket brigade. Our vigil does not wait. He unhooks the axe from his belt. He approaches the wooden door of the stairwell. It is locked. He swings. The Delabra bites into the wood with a solid. He wrenches it free, splinters flying. He swings again. The door gives way. He rushes inside. The smoke is thicker here, pooling against the ceiling. He covers his mouth with his cloak. He runs up the stairs, pounding on doors with the handle of his axe. "Wake up! Fire! Out!" Sleepy, confused faces appear. Cries of alarm. Families stumbling out in their tunics, clutching babies and small boxes of coins. The vigil guides them down, pushing against the flow, moving up toward the heat. He reaches the source, a storage room on the second floor. A pile of dry sacking has caught a spark. The flames are licking up the wall, tasting the ceiling beams. This is the critical moment. If the fire breaches the ceiling, it will find the third floor, then the fourth. The insula acts like a chimney. Once the draft catches, the building is dead. The rest of the squad arrives. They do not have the great pumps yet. They have the hame, the buckets. They form a line down the stairs to the street fountain. The buckets are passed hand to hand, leather and rope moving in a blur. Our vigil takes the first bucket. He does not throw the water wildly. He throws it at the base of the flame. The water hisses, an angry, violent steam. The fire fights back, popping and snapping. But the fire is climbing. It is too fast. The water is not enough. The centurion makes the hard choice. "Bring the hooks." Two men rush forward with long poles tipped with iron grappling hooks. They jam the hooks into the burning partition wall. They brace their feet against the floorboards. They pull. The wood groans. It screams as the nails are ripped from the joinery. With a massive crash, the burning wall is pulled down onto the floor, away from the ceiling. Now the vigil throws the centones, heavy blankets soaked in vinegar and water. The vinegar acts as a fire retardant. He smothers the debris. He stomps on the embers with his hobnailed boots. The smoke turns from black to grey to white. The roar of the fire dies down to a sullen hiss. It is over. The room is destroyed, black and dripping, but the building stands. The block is safe. Our vigil leans against the charred wall. His chest is heaving. His face is smeared with soot, his eyes stinging. He takes a drink of water from a skin, the liquid tracing cool lines through the grit in his throat. He looks at his hands. They are trembling slightly. not from fear, but from the sudden release of energy. The fire is a beast they have wrestled back into its cage. The excitement fades, leaving behind an exhaustion that is heavy as lead. This is the fourth watch, the hours before dawn. This is the hardest time. The adrenaline is gone. The city is at its quietest. The silence of Rome at 4 a.m. is heavy. It presses against the ears. The only sounds are the distant barking of wild dogs on the edges of the city and the occasional hoot of an owl from the gardens of the wealthy on the hills. The squad moves slower now. The conversation has died out. Each man is locked in his own thoughts. They think of their families, their debts, their next meal. They think of the freedom they earned and the price they pay for it every night in the cold. They walk through the forum. Here the great temples stand like ghosts. The temple of Vesta, where the sacred fire burns, a fire that must never go out, watched by the virgins. The Vigil looks at it with a sense of irony. His job is to put fires out. Theirs is to keep one burning forever. The moonlight washes the marble in cold silver. The statues of heroes and gods look down with blank stone eyes. In the daylight, this place belongs to the powerful. In the night, it belongs to the Vigiles. They walk past the rostra, past the Senate House, their boots echoing in the empty square. They check the locks on the warehouse doors. They shake the gates of the jewelers' shops. Everything is secure. The cold is intense now. The stones underfoot have lost all their warmth. The Vigil blows on his hands. He adjusts his cloak, trying to find a dry patch of wool to put against his neck. This part of the night is a test of endurance. It is boring. It is painful. It is necessary. It is the price of civilization. To sleep safely, someone must stay awake. Then, a subtle shift. It is not a light at first. It is a change in the quality of the air. A slight breeze picks up. The birds begin to stir. First the roosters in the courtyards, then the smaller birds in the eaves. The sky to the east, over the Esquiline hill, begins to bleed. A deep, bruised purple that slowly softens into indigo. The shapes of the city begin to return. The flat silhouettes regain their 3 dimensions. The shadows retreat, pulling back into the corners and the sewers. Our Vigil sees the change. He feels the tension in his shoulders release. The night has been survived. The sounds of the city return, but in reverse order. First, the bakers opening their shutters, then the water carriers at the fountains, then the carts of vegetables coming in from the countryside. The squad turns back toward the station. Their step is lighter now. They are no longer patrolling. They are commuting. They pass a shrine to Vulcan, the god of fire. Our Vigil touches his hand to his lips and waves it toward the statue. A small gesture of respect, or perhaps a plea to keep the god satisfied for another day. They reach the excubatorium. The gates are open. The smell of porridge and mortared wine greets them. It is the most beautiful smell in the world. Inside, the day shift is waking up. Fresh-faced men, rested and clean, are checking their gear. They nod to the returning patrol. There is a silent exchange of understanding. We hold the wall by day, you held it by night. Our vigil hangs up his lantern. The flame has burned low, consuming almost all the oil. He blows it out. A thin ribbon of smoke rises and vanishes. He unbuckles his belt. The weight of the axe and the hook falls away. He sits on the bench and unlaces his boots. The relief is physical. A wave of comfort travelling up his legs. He lies down on his pallet. The sounds of the waking city are loud outside. The shouting, the construction, the business of empire. But to him, they are a lullaby. They are the sounds of a city that is still there. A city that did not burn. A city that was not stolen in the dark. He closes his eyes. The patrol is done. The vigil sleeps. And so our journey ends. We have walked the stones. We have fought the fire. We have kept the watch. As you return to your own time, to your own lights and your own safety, remember the shadows of Rome, and remember the men who stood within them, holding back the dark. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient night, consider subscribing to join us for the next one. Good night.